So yeah, about 18 months ago we set up a curatorial consultancy called ArtsPeople with a colleague, Catherine Hunyor. And I'm going to spend about 40 seconds explaining to you a bit about who ArtsPeople is and what we do, and then talk to you about some projects and artists. So we started with ArtsPeople with the belief, or maybe just a really strong hunch, that people have greater expectations for how we connect with and experience art and design. So it brings together our varied backgrounds and interests, curating contemporary art and design, a connection to Japan, a preference for participatory arts projects, an interest in projects for audiences of all ages. None of these are exclusive, but they do tend to shape what we do. We also seem to be drawn to artists who are cross-disciplinary and don't neatly fit into particular categories, possibly because what we do doesn't. Our projects are a mix of self-initiated ideas that we pitch and also responding to a phone call and a brief or a need. Mostly we work with the cultural sector, but we've also worked across the private, corporate, education and government sectors. We found that this mix of things that we propose and things that come to us is a great way to work with a range of artists on interesting projects in often unexpected places. In March this year we opened an office in Tokyo. Sounds quite exciting, but I'm lucky enough to have teamed up with someone who's bilingual and already had an excellent network in the Japanese cultural sector. And so having an office in Tokyo allows us to build on this and develop projects with Japanese artists in Australia and Australian artists in Japan. So these images are from a project we've just installed last week that was at the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney Observatory called Tanabata Star Village. The main site was the Powerhouse with a smaller satellite version running at the observatory. It's a participatory contemporary arts project we created, as well as managing all aspects of production and delivery, and over 17 days about 70,000 people came through. It's based on the Japanese Star Festival, which is celebrated every July in Japan, and it tells the story for children about how two stars came to be in the sky. So we worked with Melbourne artist Slow Art Collective, Chako Kato and Dylan Martirell, to create this magical site-specific installation of bamboo and string. Inside, people were able to hear the story, make origami, weave, play with an interactive sound galaxy, and write wishes on these traditional wishing cards called tanzaku. We also worked with a local illustrator, Helene Lai, to create a children's book version of the folktale, which was available to buy. Tanabata has grown and evolved over the 4 years and taken many forms. It's been a small-scale workshop, it's been a school STEAM incursion, which is about taking the arts into science, technology, English, maths. And it's also been 2 ambitious programs at some major institutions in Sydney. So this, more than any other project, has shown me the value of iterating. Each version has been completely different, and as a concept, it's highly adaptable and scalable to suit venues and audiences. We've been able to learn from, build on, and refine the program as we go along. And the benefit of this was most obvious to me at the recent version at the Powerhouse and Observatory, which was enormous in scale and ambition. So I guess this is a not very subtle way of me saying that Tanabata is ripe for its next home. This is a Japanese artist, Nobumasa Takahashi, that we're working with on a project for the Opera House at the moment. He's a prolific and multi-skilled artist. One aspect of his work that I want to talk about tonight is the Japanese graffiti series, which draws on manga and traditional iconography and asks what is distinctly Japanese graffiti and when does graffiti become art. As you can see, his works are dense and satirical, where mythical creatures, office workers and machines jostle for space inside his megatropolises. He's also a ridiculously fast illustrator and doesn't bat an eyelid at the thought of spending 12-hour days for 3 weeks straight in a gallery, just drawing and covering every surface of the walls that he can see and find. So he runs a workshop called Rakugaki, which I think would be brilliant to run here in Australia. He's going to be in Australia anyway. So it's a drawing workshop for kids, and when they turn up, unbeknownst to them, Takahashi has pre-arranged permission from shops, cafes, maybe he's even stationed a car somewhere in the area. And each child is handed a pen, and then they head off on a walking tour, and suddenly they arrive outside the window of a shop or a cafe and are told to draw anything they want, just all over the window. Initially hesitant, kids, as you can see, go wild for the idea. Much to the bemusement of patrons on the other side of the glass who also have no idea what's going on. And so the result is this harmless act of anarchy where kids are free to break social norms and the legitimacy of rules are called into question. As mentioned earlier, we don't exclusively do Japan projects or kids projects, but I realise everything I've just shown you are those two things. So we have some projects that are in some early proposals that I can't talk about tonight, but as proof that we really don't just do Japan projects and kids stuff, I wanted to talk to you about an artist that we've been a big fan of for a while. This is Lucy McRae. She calls herself a body architect. She's an Australian artist based in London. She originally trained as a classical ballerina, and she calls herself a body architect because it's a term that allows her to do exactly what she wants to do. I first came across her work when I was researching an exhibition in 2011, and I've kept my eye on her ever since, as she's the sort of artist that sits on the fringe of conventional definitions, which I find really interesting. She is a so-called science fiction artist and a film director, and her work probes the frontiers of the human body as a site to explore complex future scenarios. So this is actually an image from a project called Swallowable Perfume, which is a provocation where a pill is swallowed that changes a person's physiology to sweat a new odour or colour that's uniquely yours. And this last image is from a project called Astronauts, the Astronaut Aerobics Institute, which is a futuristic day spa prepping the body for space travel, and it's been developed alongside two of Great Britain's Olympic synchronised swimmer. And this is just some shameless self-promotion. So thanks for listening.